Hello, and welcome to another week of Abusecartoons Livestream. A weekly sweaty affair. So I'm still, as you can see, keeping the curtains closed, trying to make it a little more tolerable in here, but it's still pretty hot. It's still pretty much summer here. And a new ramen shop has opened, and you wouldn't be able to see out the window anyhow, but if you look down you would. A new ramen shop has opened next door, and there's a huge line. So the building is basically you're strike breaking just trying to get into this building because of the huge demand for this this new ramen. Yeah, so that was a surprise this morning, and I think it's just the same shop that's been there for the last couple of years, just with a remodel. So the power of remodeling. Actually, it's nice what they did. It was kind of a cave-like shop that just kind of went deep and had a big metal shutter on the front of it, and there's one small window and then a door, and basically you couldn't even see into the place. And they tore the whole front off, and it's all glass now, so it's very bright and airy, and there's tile and light wood, and it looks more like a cafe than a ramen shop. But now it is open for business, and people are clamoring for the same old thing they could have gotten last year. But that's good. It's good for the area too, that things keep getting improved. All right. Okay, so it looks like we're all good to go here. So welcome. And yeah, I got another kind of boring, let's see if I can fix this, another kind of boring, but, you know, maybe interesting or informative convenience store segment, which I'm sure you're all dying for. I think I'm going to have to be honest with myself and realize that I'm just doing this convenience store part of the live stream, so I have an excuse for overbuying whatever it is, you know, cup noodle or whatever it is, coffee, canned coffee, when I go to the store and not feeling guilty. It's for a reason. I'm showing it off. But yeah, I realized that today because of what I was buying. It looked pretty ridiculous, and of course there's no point in explaining what I'm doing with all that, but you will see soon enough. So yeah, the topic today, so I was reading a little bit about this because there was some business article or something that was going on about a man who took his 3D printing idea and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business, multi-million-dollar single-man business kind of thing. And it turns out, every time they have one of those clickbaity kind of, businessy headlines, that the guy was just gaming, search engines, and really what he was doing wasn't all that interesting. He was just, being found everywhere and just got obsessed with being available to, on every place where his widgets existed. And I think before he hired any contractors or employees, he actually was hiring the search engine optimization guys and stuff. So yeah, whatever. That's not going to be everybody's story. And, if everybody's main focus is their search engine placement and not what they're actually, how they're running their business, then whatever. It's going to get pretty brutal out there on that Google. But yeah, just from my little bit of experience with that, just gaming search engines and algorithms is just this endless thing. And if that's how you do your business or get most of your business, it's just going to eat up so much of your time that I don't think it's really worth it. And as long as you're doing something you don't care about, you're selling, just reselling or running some, affiliate business for somebody else's products or whatever, then fine. But yeah, you're not gonna enjoy a life of figuring out how the algorithm is scoring your website constantly. Yeah, and it's interesting how the social media has tried to make websites obsolete, and I guess for younger people, they don't go to a lot of websites. They interact with products and companies and things on social media, and that's about it. Or apps, through apps. That's apps. Won't get into that. But anyhow, so this topic of this guy by himself, the one thing that they talked about in the article is the timing of when to decide to walk away from your day job, when to decide to go full time into what started as kind of a side project or a side business. And that made me think of creatively kind of how you make those decisions. And it's never easy, and it's kind of along the lines of how a lot of people decide when to have kids. They make it a financial decision primarily, which is probably not the best idea because kids are not that expensive, and they only get expensive when they want tuition and car insurance. But there is a kind of a mindset that you have to be settled and wealthy and everything to even consider having kids. And I mean, that's a whole different debate, but then it makes people hold off until they're having kids in their early 40s, because then they're comfortable, their careers are established and everything, and by then you're way too tired to be a parent. Your energy levels and everything are, you have a lot more patience, but you have not a lot of energy. And so that's a difficult decision, but it's similar. It has some things in common with how people decide, when to take their little passion project, their side project, and make it their full-time pursuit. And I think a lot of, some people are very careful, and they're going to make sure, they'll work an extra, year or so and just put everything away that they can so that they have a cushion to live on right away. And, it just, I guess it has to do with kind of what your goals are and kind of what your lifestyle is. I mean, if you're married and have a mortgage payment, then yeah, that's a completely different story from people, some other people's situations. And I guess it is a little frustrating because I remember, sitting at tables at shows next to people that, they're working a full-time job, living at home, and they literally have, probably $30,000-$40,000 a year to devote to this hobby that they have. So they have ridiculously expensive, production values for if anything they self-published, or even their booth and everything is insane. And so that's a little bit discouraging, a little bit frustrating when you're trying to do it kind of a bare bones thing. that you see people like that with, you know, no talent but endless disposable income, and yeah, they would make much better customers yeah, or, you know, fans than they would artists. And but just the fact that they financially can do it is why they do it. But I mean, it's a very individual decision, but at the same time, you know, the best time is always now, you know, for these sorts of things. If you have any kind of motivation to do something like that, as long as it's not, you know, financial suicide, as long as you're not going to be, you know, locked out of, you know, not make that month's rent, I think it's always worth, you know, kind of pushing yourself, because it's the hardest part is at that very beginning, but that's also the most exciting part. So that's when you have the most energy and everything, when you're like, I'm finally going to do it. And I have a friend that I met at the shows in Japan that would be really good for this topic, because she had like an office, you know, kind of standard office manager job, and was, you know, having some success and has a really nice illustration style, and did finally decide, okay, I'm just going to do this full time. And that I think that's very brave, especially in Japan, where, you know, a steady paycheck, you know, trumps all. You know, nobody wants to go out on a limb and you know, risk things in that same way. So yeah, that was a very rare, and I admired her courage for doing that, because not only is it, you know, kind of culturally frowned upon, but it's, you know, cost of living in Japan is pretty expensive. So, you know, she was right away going to have to, oh, what's going on here? Right away, she was going to have to, you know, face kind of a much bigger financial strain. And but I think her work was, you know, she already had a few of her projects that she'd worked on the side had done well enough that it made it very possible. And right away she had got some pretty big, you know, gigs and stuff. But, you know, still, she even said to me, though, still, you know, it's just not paying enough. And that's the frustrating part about specifically Japan, is that the creative work is just very low paying. So you have to do 10 times as much as anybody else in any other country, because you got a high cost of living and you have low pay for creative work. But that aside, you specifically deciding what to do, you know, you should weigh some different factors. I mean, if you're doing something creative that historically, you know, you're not going to be able to get paid for very easily, you know, like a, you know, performance or dance or, you know, theater or something, that it's just going to be, you know, very difficult to kind of generate a regular income from it, you definitely should, you know, decide how low, you know, your kind of standard of living can go, and if there's, you know, options to, you know, room share, house share, whatever, and really reduce your monthly expenses. And then that makes it insanely possible to do those sorts of things. But yeah, just figuring out, you know, how that's going to impact your monthly expenses, and what you can kind of, you know, at the most and at the least, you know, be able to come up with, or be able to generate with the work that you're doing. And it's also probably going to mean, especially if you're talking about, you know, illustration or visual arts, you're going to be doing stuff for people that, you know, if it was just a side project or your passion or your hobby, you wouldn't have dealt with, or you wouldn't have anything to do with. So you may have to, in a few situations, because of the paycheck. I know I've done stuff and worked with people that I particularly, you know, weren't big fans of, but the pay was good and it was regular and easy. You know, like there was no delay, checks in the mail kind of stuff. So yeah, that always is a factor, you know, because you are going to have to probably work with people that, if you had a steady paycheck and were doing it on the side, you would just turn down, or you wouldn't deal with at all. So if you're willing to do those sorts of things, you know, kind of be very serious, take a very serious look at your cost of living, and figure out what you can do, and without making yourself, you know, sick and crazy, you know, losing all your sleep because you have to work so hard, and just eating, you know, instant ramen is not going to be a long-term option. But you know, but establishing yourself, and then having you know, regular regular clients or regular, things that you're working for is always a great situation to try to put yourself in. And that's kind of your big motivation at the beginning of going it on your own. But you should definitely, just kind of do some basic projections about, what you're going to be able to make, and is that going to be enough, and how long can you go, with nothing, or not, or not getting paid, because half of the problem is, trying to get some of these accounts receivable places to even acknowledge you, let alone send you anything in the mail. Yeah, and I think if you're very afraid, and it's going to make you anxious, and that anxiety is going to hurt your work, then of course you probably shouldn't be doing that until you have the confidence. I mean, when you have the confidence, you're not going to need the money, because you're going to push yourself hard enough that it will come. And I think that's the thing that some people don't consider. They look at things, very clinically or very removed from reality. But when you're working hard on something, and you're very passionate about something, and you're interacting with other people in that business, things just keep coming to you, because people want to work with you. People, see the energy or the motivation in your work, and it just kind of builds on itself. So you can get kind of on a roll. Things kind of get hot for a while, because current projects generate future projects and those sorts of things. So remember that happens. But then again, it's a bit like surfing or whatever. It's a thing where you maintain, and you either have too much work or no work, and so be prepared for those kinds of stresses. But it will come if you have the confidence, and you've gotten enough feedback from people that your style or whatever you do has an audience. Then it's definitely worth pursuing, and to take it very seriously. I mean, if you're going to quit your day job, then your creative work becomes your job. So you put it on a schedule, and you're very serious about it. I think the mistake that you can make is, wow, now I've got a creative life and I can work whenever I want. And then you're going to lose your discipline, because, basically when you're working just in your free time, and just in the extra spare time and hours you could eke out, that was your discipline, because of the limitation. And then if you have your whole day full to do whatever you want, you still have that mentality that, wow, now it's creative work and I can do it when I feel like it. No, you have to, you can't do it when you feel like it. You have to dedicate yourself to it like it is a job. So it'll definitely become a lot less fun, but I think you'll get better at it, and definitely faster at it. And then you'll be able to make a living at it. But I think that's a definite mindset that you have to change. Is like, okay, now I'm working creatively, so much less stress and much more freedom, and you're probably going to have to actually work more hours and push yourself harder than you did sitting at your desk trying to waste time and hide screens where you were just reading stupid news articles when you should have been doing something, because it's 100% on you. Win or lose is all on your shoulders. And for people that's a good fit for, that motivates them, that pushes them hard enough, that little bit of, whoa, I can't do this, I can't waste time. And so I've seen a lot of artists, the first thing that they purge are things like video games and computer games and time waster stuff. They just have to get it out of their life, because they'll use that for stress reduction and stuff, but it's too easy to kind of get stuck on and wasting time, because I'll do it tomorrow, and you're going to be doing too much last minute low quality work if you allow this time wasters to kind of hang around. But so I hope that's a little bit of kind of helping you to give that some thought, because it's definitely worth doing if you feel satisfaction and you have confidence and pride in what you're doing creatively. It's definitely worth trying to pursue it as a full-time situation. And, everyone has a different situation. If you're still living at home, or if you have roommates, or if you are married, or, your roommate has a job, and, or your girlfriend that you're living with has a job or whatever, and they will tolerate you, kind of, building things up. And I think, but you have to, with those people though, if you're going to do that, like, with your parents or girlfriend or wife or whatever, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to be very honest with them and set kind of, milestones or whatever. I hope to, in this next 6 months, be able to make at least this much money to contribute. And I know it's not going to be as much as I was making before, but, so that you're not just every day, spending all day watching TV and then telling them, yeah, nothing, didn't really come to me today. Where you're not only lying to yourself, you're lying to them, and you just become kind of a parasite. That's I think a difficult situation. I think some people have to deal with those kinds of people. I mean, you do have to be serious, and you do have to treat it like work, because it has become work. It has become your main source of income. So treat it like a job, and it's not just a fun time or something that you like better than sitting in an office. Because you're probably going to be sitting in a home office or a home studio doing it. So so as far as subject matter for cartoons today, I didn't have a lot in my head, but so it always helps if the people around you are supportive, not even if you're not living with your family. If your family says, yeah, if that's what you want to do, do it, just be careful, is a great attitude to have, instead of that kind of sabotaging parent or friend or whatever in your life that's like, you making any money? You famous yet? Are you working for this? Have you done anything like this yet? What are you doing? If you have somebody that's constantly judging or second guessing what you're doing and what you were doing it for, then that's going to get a little frustrating, and I think start to break down your confidence. And that's exactly what they want, probably, because they don't get to leave their day job to do something that they're passionate about. So why should you? That whole mentality. And I think and this is not completely related, but I think that's the thing that you do always have to be aware of, that even the people, not only the people around you in your life, but the people you work for, are going to be envious of the fact that you're doing the creative work, and they're just telling you whether or not the client said it was okay, or so the client said it was good, or whatever the situation is. But be aware that a lot of editors and people that you're in contact with, some of them really love working with artists and getting to know people and learning about the process and things, and not having it be something that they do themselves. But others are just insanely envious and incredibly punishing because of that envy and the wish that they could be writing or drawing or doing something other than managing those sorts of projects. So be on the lookout for those types of people. But yeah, I'm curious what kind of thinking for goes into some people's decisions to do that, because my first thought is that it's very much like how people decide to have kids. It's like, well, are we ready, or are we ready, and that means, are we ready financially? But really, especially with something like kids, it is mostly emotional. If you're emotionally mature enough to do it, then everything's going to be fine, and the finances will come when this kid gets more expensive, hopefully. But this is tofu. Yeah, but it is a very individual choice. But like I'm saying, just make sure you go into it the right way, with the right mindset, and realizing how much work it is and how seriously you have to take it, and how unpredictable it is, I think is very important. And if you can handle those things, because if you've done it on the side and you have already had some experience handling those things, then I would definitely say go for it, and just build that momentum. Use your energy and your nervousness and everything to fuel your creativity, and just produce, and that's the best way. And then just being in contact with people, other people doing the same sort of thing, not necessarily people you would be competing for projects with, but people that also, are working professionally, creatively, professionally, full time, and just be inspired by how they run their lives and things. And, especially if you're not in competition with each other, if someone's a musician and someone's an animator or whatever, you may end up finding situations for each other. And that's always a good thing. So, not necessarily just networking, but just, having creative friends and having people in your life that are doing that will be good for you, not only as examples if they're doing it successfully, but also as, connections for potential work. But yeah, I hope a little bit of that is helpful, and just to have those sorts of things in mind when you're making that decision. And just know it's never going to feel completely like a good idea. It's always going to feel like a bad idea, and always going to feel like a mistake, because we are always, doubting ourselves, and, there's not enough positive feedback or praise or anything that any creative person can get that is going to be enough to sustain them. It's just this bottomless pit of, please tell me I'm good at this. Please tell me I'm okay. And so, yeah, you're never going to have a real clear feeling or real clear sign that now it begins. Now it starts. And, usually, I know most people that I know of just have a success on the side, and then kind of, use that momentum to kind of roll them into, working completely on their own. And, being in places or having already made connections with companies and people that can keep feeding you good work is always important. What am I drawing today? Oh my. But yeah, so hopefully that helps. And if you have any thoughts or ideas, or have your own experience to kind of recount, I think that would be very interesting. And I'd love to hear in the comments or anywhere what people are what people went through. And yeah, I definitely wish I had a guest for this part, for this week. That would be an example of someone that just recently did that would be perfect, because they have that same energy. I mean, I've kind of been wandering in and out of doing that for years, so I don't have, that experience isn't so direct. Okay. Oh, sorry. Do not yawn into the camera. Wow. Okay, so I was thinking about bookmarks on the way here, so maybe this would be about bookmarks. And let's move some things over that aren't bookmarks to the other frame and think about what that's all about. Yeah, things are running a little slow today, so sorry about that. Oh, wait. Okay. I don't know. I guess I got 2 floating windows now. All right. Yeah, sorry. Everything's a little taking its time here. Actually. Maybe this guy. What's this? I don't know what that is. I like that drawing, but I don't know what that is. It's like the balance of those lines. It's round and flat at the same time. Okay. So maybe the package. Yeah, so bookmark joke. Yeah, maybe the package can make it over there as well. All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah, something like this. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that's going to work. I'm going to have a bookmark in existential crisis. And I think I'm doing more drawing over here because I don't know what this is turning out to be. Oh, well. Sorry, I'm a lot more tired than I thought. I know, that's so fun to hear and watch a yawning person. But, oh, yeah, I was editing our discussion of Mute, the Netflix movie, the Duncan Jones Netflix movie, and realized how, it's like, that's how I talk when I'm trying to make points and think of things and answer questions. And so I hope that for the streaming, I'm getting rid of that. I'm working very specifically or very deliberately to try to eliminate that from my talking, because, with the streaming, it's all extemporaneous and it's drawing at the same time. So I want to be very sure that it's okay to listen to, that it's tolerable to listen to, and that it's not like everything is, because those weird vocal crutches get really hard to listen to. And as soon as you're aware of something, I was listening to a podcast where they had a guest that was horribly, he was doing so much thinking in his talk that it was real, but it was really hard. So even when he finally got a point out or some information out, you didn't even care anymore because it was so frustrating to listen to. So I will make an attempt, and then hopefully by doing this get more practiced at speaking off the top of my head without vocal crutches. That's the point. And I think maybe it's just doing it more deliberately. I'm not going to pronounce things any better, but I will stop using crutches. Being more deliberate and just taking your time instead of being afraid and filling that dead air with sounds. Yeah. So we shall see. But I know I'm very bad. And, not only vocal crutches, but, not only vocal crutches, but some, phrases. I guess those are still crutches too, but phrases that I keep just going back to. I think when we first started podcasting, everything was interesting because I couldn't think of any synonyms for the word interesting. Yeah, so it was the worst. And so I do a lot of the editing too, so cutting out the numbers of interestings was pretty brutal. Yeah, but hopefully I'm getting some experience or somewhat better at that, so that it becomes easier to listen to, because it'd be fun to make a point that people actually heard because you delivered it well, competently, or at least in a pleasant and listenable way. Yeah, there's a funny, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but there's a funny that, thing. You're trying to be friendly and trying to be personable and trying to, make a connection to people by saying that. It's like, that is a whole, that's just thinking out loud kind of thing, but it's also trying to make people, kind of bring people in a little bit on your friendly thought process. So it's a funny thing. And I love our generation's way of, the adults in our generation. I think I just did in our generation, how they would correct because especially in the 80s, I think like was very used by inexperienced young speaking people. And so teachers or parents or whatever said, is it like that, or is it that actual thing? Like the correction was always, it's like hot today. Is it like hot, or is it actually hot? Yeah, that it was endlessly repeated to try to break people of their dependence on like as a vocal crutch. But yeah, I just think speaking more with confidence. But for me, as editing podcasts, it's just as frustrating to take out or nothing, silence, to edit out silence and gaps as it is to take out likes and ums. So it doesn't save your editor any work at all if you speak better, speak well. So why did I bring that up? Just because of the vocal crutch thing, and I have to confront my speaking demons, the poor way that I express myself verbally. I have to confront that when I do editing for those sorts of things. So yeah, so that just came to mind. But yeah, if you have any interest in that, or have watched it or haven't watched it, you can get a really good idea of the story, because we spoil everything in the discussion. But that was a real letdown, and the Mute, that Netflix movie. And I think, a little bit of a mistake in the way they, the little bit of marketing and kind of the visuals that they used to represent it. Because a single word, an enigmatic single word title like that, leads you to, whoa, this theme, what is this? Where are we going? What's going to be happening? And it was not a theme at all. It was, I think we started in the podcast just to call the character Mute, Mr. Mute, and he's mute because there wasn't enough significance or resonance or anything of that title. And the way they presented it, looking very cyberpunk, and I guess technically it's tech noir, but looking very cyberpunk and future, near future, kind of dystopic Blade Runner-y. That's very misleading, because Blade Runner is a very specific kind of thing and a kind of story, and this didn't have a lot of that grittiness and things that I think, yeah. So it was very misleading. You went into it thinking a little bit incorrectly because of both the title, and I guess, though, because it exists in the same, part of the gimmick of it is it exists in the same world as Moon, his debut film, his first feature film, and that is it was first, and so there's a little nod to that at the beginning. But that drew me in very much, like, whoa, I'd like to see more of this, because that had a funny gimmick to it, and it was a small, limited, really interesting piece, Moon was. And Mute wasn't. It was a sprawling, ridiculous, too many people introducing all this stuff that you had no idea, and that it wasn't that interesting. And I can't figure out because I saw a little discussion of it, or behind the scenes, talking about the inspiration and everything, and technically this Mute idea was supposed to be his first film, and I think it just, budget wise and everything, it was just too much to even consider funding, and maybe he couldn't even get a studio, so nobody but Netflix would fund it, just based on his reputation. And after he'd already handled a project with the scale of Warcraft, I guess, Netflix was like, sure, go ahead, do what you want. So this was his kind of passion project, and something that I guess, like, he spent 16 years kind of thinking of. And they showed some, very European comics style pages, like panels of this character. So it'd kind of been around in his head, and maybe he had formulated it in, with some inspiration from his childhood of European comics and things, because that would explain why some of the things that were missing about it, and it wasn't filmed or didn't have that tone of European comics, but it was in Europe, and it was this, this hero, this fish out of water in a future Berlin. But I don't know. It was really disappointing, and I just couldn't, and I still can't decide if it's the budget or what that sabotaged a lot of the original intention, or just, nobody's saying. That's the funny thing, that, in our rush to destroy the, gatekeepers and people, to kind of make our new way with this internet, in this internet world, that, tearing down the people that were not only gatekeepers, but a lot of, executive producers and people that were overseers. And a lot of times they're just watching the, holding the purse strings, or watching the budgets of the studio and kind of protecting that part of the production. But there are still, there were significant or decent contributions that were given, as far as you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this in a movie. You should do this, because it is still popular culture, and it is, they're aiming for wide audiences. So those kinds of good recommendations, and maybe it's just because those people with that kind of experience or even that kind of mindset don't exist anymore. It's all just bean counters, looking at the, international markets and global returns, so that they're making really bad decisions because they're only thinking about the money. But they should be thinking about the product and the money. I don't know, because it seems like, that kind of thing is being forgotten, because the emptiness and the tone and the oddness of a lot of these movies that are obviously made for a global audience is it's becoming really apparent and really hard to deal with, because it it creates really unsatisfying creates really unsatisfying final products. Okay, I'm drawing some sour cream, I think. Maybe like this. Okay, but that needs to be bigger and wider. Maybe a little bit more like that. I don't know where this is going. I was just thinking about the shape of tofu, but oh, yeah. Let's see. Let's do a lid here and then see if we're going to stick with this. Whoa, it's getting rowdy out there. I guess people are getting hungry. And the line is getting longer and longer. Yeah, and they, most restaurants, I think everything except for fast food in Japan, closes between like 2 and 5 to kind of reset for dinner. And maybe for ramen and stuff, they have to, get stock ready and stuff. Maybe if their menu is different, between lunch and dinner. So there is a dead zone where you're not going to be able to get anything to eat, and everything is closed except for cafes. And so they'll probably be doing that same thing. But on days like this, at 2 o'clock, they're just going to have to turn a lot of people away and say, come back in 3 hours. So we'll see. But yeah, go to idleredhands.com if you want to hear that discussion about Mute. We talk over each other a bit. It's a bit of a noisy discussion, but yeah, it's worth it. And especially because now it's had time to kind of be there. And I think it's been pretty forgotten. So it felt very strange, because I think it came out last year. It was released, or maybe beginning of this year. And feels very odd to be talking about it and releasing it now, because it's kind of been dismissed. And it's funny. So it'll be interesting to see, because so I guess what I stopped saying is, so Moon, Mute, and now there's supposed to be maybe a third movie that exists in the same universe, because everything is a trilogy. But yeah, there may be another film. But I think this version of that universe, that Moon universe, is not very interesting for me. Yeah, there were some visual things that were okay, but yeah, for the most part, I wasn't all that wow about what was going on. Yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit of writing, a little bit of acting, a little bit of everything that I was just not in love with. Whoa, they're really rowdy out there. Yeah, it's gonna be miserable. I'm curious how long it's gonna go on to the popularity. That's the one thing you can count on Japanese people doing, is lining up for something. And if you see a line, it creates this false sense of, oh, that must be amazing, I better get in line. Because you'll see, empty, you know, ramen shops and everything, and then there'll be a line of 20 people for one specific shop. And really, is it so? And a lot of people are really motivated by, you know, this came all the way from Hokkaido or Tokyo or whatever, and it's famous there, and this is your chance to try it here. So that inspires a lot of people here to get in line and be excited about something that's probably not worth their energy to be excited about. But so is there another food that, I guess the only one I can think of is the jellied cranberries from Thanksgiving that kept the tin can shape, and you'd slice them, but the end pieces would still have those concentric circles from the tin can lid. Wonderful. Oh, I'm curious if you can hear that. I think this mic is good enough. It's going to gate a lot of that out, but there's a lot of noise outside. A lot of people were excited about ramen. And now maybe they're getting hungry and stupid. And I think maybe it's a lot of coworkers and stuff. Because, yeah, we're kind of close to a lot of office buildings. So people come this way for a decent lunch. Okay, and so food that retains the shape of its container. I think that's going to be enough, and it'll be enough of a fail. Wow. Noisy. It's so funny if you can't hear this and I keep commenting about how noisy it is. That makes an interesting stream, doesn't it? Yeah, I think I want to be careful about this. I don't want it to be funny, not derisive. And it's sad that I even have that thought, that I think maybe the shape of tofu cartoon is going to be too intense for some viewers. Yeah, what a world. Okay, so I still don't like this composition very well. I think a lot of it has to do with the position of some things. Wow. And whatever little memory problem I'm having here is not making it any easier. Okay. Oh, I guess because I'm still saving. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's why it was moving so slowly. Okay, and now back to maybe. Yes. Oh, the bookmark. Right. Bookmark humor. Okay. Yeah, this'll. Yes. Oh, come on. Please, just finish saving. What is going on? I'm trying to drag things and I'm just drawing all over everything. Yes, thank you. Okay, are we good here? Are we saved? Thank you. Okay. So move some of these pieces of paper around to bring the book more center. And maybe make the book a little bit bigger. So, yeah, I want everything to... yeah, I want everything to have a little more balance, but also look a little, less significant. Like this little ticket thing is looking pretty big, so I'll just tuck it in a little bit more. All right. Yeah, something like that. Wow, everything's very scattered here. Okay. Whoa. Come on. No. Yeah, that's gonna be fascinating to listen to. Me go, no, no. Talking to little drawings that I did. Okay. Okay, it's going a little bit better. Yeah, still not able to switch very well between things. Oh, yeah, and maybe I want to do the film. Is that this? Yeah, maybe do the film peeled back on this container. Like this sort of deal. To try to make sure that works. Yeah. There we go. Okay, yeah, I think I'm okay with this. I hope everybody else is. Okay. Poor tofu. I'll try to give the tofu a little bit of color. Yeah, something like that. A little more bean color. And now I'm talking about stuff that nobody can hear, or nobody can see me if you're only listening. Okay. So a very unexciting convenience store segment coming up, but hopefully you will enjoy. Oh, okay. Yeah, I keep forgetting I'm on camera, just kind of making stupid faces while I'm positioning sour cream containers. We all been through that, right? Okay, and I guess I'll make the sour cream pretty white. Yeah, I don't think it will look better. But actually the container, where am I coloring? God damn it. All right, we'll just call that. So tofu might be a little odd to shade, but yeah. Pay attention. Pay attention. Yeah, I'm always too distracted doing this. And now I'm fussing about the noise behind me, but you aren't hearing that. If you can't hear that truck, then you definitely can't hear those people talking. Ha ha ha. And there is nothing more annoying than someone talking about something that you can't hear. That's silly. So I'm going to stop doing that right now. Okay. No, I'll do it like that. Oh, but maybe I can do a light version through the plastic. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Yeah, that can just be straight. Yeah, but maybe orange is better. Okay, now just some shadows on top of everything. Wow. Okay, yeah, I think that makes good tofu sense. Okay, so yeah, the tofu I'm not going to be able to, or shade very well. Oof, sorry, and I'll be careful about my breathing into the microphone. Gotta remember how sensitive this mic is. Oh, and I didn't color that little splotch in. And that when I'm distracted and breathing into the microphone. I'm sure it sounds a little disturbing. Yeah, I have no idea how unpleasant my voice is on headphones. I guess I've listened to a little bit on the podcast, but that's usually I try to pleasant it up a little bit, and I'm not doing compression or anything on my voice now regularly, so I hope it's not too miserable if you're going to try to just do this with headphones. Whoa. But yeah, so September, yeah, I guess we've got a few more weeks of this until we're up to a year, and then I'll kind of make a decision. I'll just put it out there, I guess, to everybody that has ever watched this, if they would like to continue, or if I should just do this in private. As far as the stream, as far as live streaming, because I can live stream other things, but I'm still not convinced that live streaming this cartoon is all that interesting. So we'll see. We'll get an opinion. We'll get a consensus. And I think Tofu is going to have to be sad in this situation. Ugh. There we go. That is the saddest tofu I've ever seen. I hope the packages are like that, or at least that's a recognizable package. I'll call it tofu in the writing to make sure. Oh boy. Oh. Okay, here we go. Why is this one taking so long to save? I guess it's got a lot of layers. Yeah, I guess I should just delete out everything. Oh, quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm being real reckless. I should take a look at how big the file size of these individual PSDs is becoming, because obviously there's something huge in here. And I'm not really going back and looking at anything, so close that. All right, let's try to go back here. End the book. So let's go to a layer that I want to color on instead of just starting to randomly fill something. Do that dark green color for the book. And yes, God, I don't know what's going on with my PC. But it's part of the fun. It's part of the mystery and excitement of working like this. You never know when you're going to have to wait. I don't know. Okay, so let me see. What are some of these things? I think this is like an orangey kind of ticket. Some kind of weird color ticket. I have to make the bookmark just amazing. But like an ATM receipt, and this can be like maybe like a dry cleaning ticket. Oh, wow. There we go. There we go. Okay, jeez. And I'll just do that here. Okay, now the bookmark has to be amazing, right? Right. Yeah, I'll do something stupid, like a bright fluorescent-y kind of thing. Yeah, I don't even know. I still remember, like, you know, mall bookstores and things having the whole spinner rack of bookmarks by the checkout. Bookmarks were a thing, and I think, yeah, in school, because you always had a book that you were reading for your English class or whatever, there was always a reason to have a cool bookmark when I was in grade school, because you could stick it in your where the red fern grows or whatever. We're reading. Yeah, I'm not surprised how much it was changed. That came up doing some RPG where we were playing teenagers, but in the early 2000s, and it came up. You know, what did you read when you were in high school? And woof, yeah, there's a huge variety. And I think it's changed a lot from my generation of you know, what they have kids read, because I didn't even recognize some of the titles. So I don't, yeah, I don't know. It feels a little weird that something that, you know, just makes it to a bestseller list. Like, if kids were reading like Harry Potter or something in school, that would feel a little odd, because have we kind of culturally, you know, figured out that it's worth reading outside of, you know, entertainment? I don't know. So it feels a little odd when stuff that, you know, just has been recognized. But then I guess that's kind of the thing now, is people want to get recognition for good works as soon as possible, so that we're not, you know, we don't just keep going back to the dead white men. But sometimes I worry a little bit that we're reading stuff that's like, it just becomes too trendy. Like what kids read in their high school English classes is just a little trendy thing. But who knows? Maybe my parents' generation. Oh, actually, they were out of school before things like Jonathan Livingston Seagull and the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. All that garbage was written. But yeah. So I think that kind of trashy, or not trashy stuff, but that, you know, kind of silly stuff just never did. There we go. Never did make it into, at least any school that I heard of, into their curriculum. What am I talking about? I don't even know. Now I'm writing a receipt, a ATM receipt, I guess, which would be kind of, whatever. This is going to look like a mimeograph. There we go. And maybe here too. Okay, and whatever this is, some tag. All right, beautiful. Okay, let's put the, oh, I've already done quite a bit of that. Let's try the other side. Yeah, there we go. A lot of this you're not gonna see so much, but always worth doing. I think I need to do this on the cheese, especially because it's got the plastic containers. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Oh. Okay, well, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought. Whoa. There we go. Okay. And we still need eyes on these guys. Yeah, I don't know. My thoughts about streaming, like, I don't, if this became something that a lot of people were watching and it became more of a hang and I was, you know, talking, you know, it was like having more of a conversation, I don't think I could draw. So I guess it's good. I should count my blessings that I'm not trying to, you know, balance something that would be difficult to balance while doing this. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know if, I guess if I'm getting the ability to, you know, be very timely with my cartoons and kind of enjoy the thought process and everything more, then maybe it's worth it to just keep at it. There we go. See, every time I kind of finalize a thought or think I have a thought, okay, there we go. I'm just going to put this down before I forget my wording. Oh, why is this taking so long? Terrifying. Terrifying to realize that any slip of paper could do his job. Wow. Okay, let's save that. Okay, so we have our bookmark and we have our tofu. Oh, that's right, but the containers were so white that I don't think there is much as far as highlighting, but maybe on the tofu itself, make it a little wet. Because I didn't do it pure white, so pure white will show up a bit. Whoa. Oh, and that's right, and I don't have the benefit of filling in the tofu. Ugh, all right. Something like that. And maybe here and here. Okay, beautiful. No. Okay. All right, so we have our cartoons and we don't have the text. So, you know what that means, everyone? It's time for everyone's, I guess it's just my favorite segment. What? Come on, do it. Switch over. Yes. Is it working? Okay, there we go. Okay. Yes, welcome to the convenience store segment. I hope my giant face isn't too disturbing. So my convenience store segment today. So like I warned you, it's not particularly exotic or exciting, but very basic and informative. So as if you saw the announcement for the stream, you know that it is in fact chocolate. So today we are going to look at many kinds of Japanese chocolate, including the infamous, the most famous Pocky. I think now this has become such an export that you can get this basically anywhere, but this is so Japanese, and I'll explain. Oh, I guess I can start with these now. So these are just like little cookie sticks dipped in chocolate and various types of, there's so many flavors now, various types of chocolate, or, you know, matcha or strawberry or whatever, but a lot of Japanese kinds of sweets flavors there. So they're cookie sticks and dipped in chocolate, and they come in these, they always give you an interesting way to open it. So you're opening it so that you don't break anything, and it comes out like this. Hey, and there they are. And so why this? So you would think, oh, you know, maybe Japanese use chopsticks and this is a stick, and there's something culturally relevant. No, the whole reason that this thing, and this is kind of a girl's snack, I guess, a little bit feminine. Some of the flavors are very girl friendly and stuff, but a cookie stick dipped in chocolate. The reason that it's a stick shape is because you look so cute when you eat it. That's the only reason. It's a cute to eat thing, and I guess because you don't get anything all over your fingers, but you look cute eating it, you know. So if you think of the typical, not this thing, but you think of a typical Japanese girl trying to keep her mouth as small as possible, her eyes as big as possible, eating a little stick like this. It's adorable, right? So I think that's the big motivation. This is an aesthetic snack that is just that is just supposed to make you look cute when you eat it. And there's also savory versions. I'm not sure if they're the same company, but Pretz and some other things that are like potato or salad or, you know, bread sticks, but they're all these very long, delicate things. So they're very easy to break, and, you know, must be not so easy to manufacture. And, you know, the reason is because it's so cute to watch somebody eat them. And I'm not sure. The chocolate isn't bad that's on these. It's actually this is the default kind of, you know, standard flavor, and it's not bad. It's not, you know, terribly cheap, unlike some of their snacks, so I think we'll get to. So Pocky is very identifiably Japanese, and it shows up in so much anime and manga and everything. And another one, it's not quite stick-like. Sorry, I'm making so much noise. But this is another one that I really like. And I could only find the kind of mini version of this. This is Galbo, and this is a black chocolate version. And so it's very interesting. You'll notice that they'll use the katakana for black when they mean dark chocolate very often, and also yeah, maybe these romaji for coffee. Black coffee is just, you know, coffee with no milk. But when they're talking about black chocolate, they're meaning dark chocolate. They don't use the kanji for black, and because I think that denotes, you know, black sugar or other things, and so it may be confusing. But if you see black written in katakana, then that usually means dark chocolate. So these also come individually. Like there's a longer version of these that are individually wrapped, and you like pop them in the middle, and you hold half of the wrapper, and then you can eat the other side. But these are really good too. So they're kind of, these are also kind of chocolate covered cookie things. But the consistency inside, the outside looks like smooth chocolate, but the inside is really good. It's really good. So it doesn't have a crunch like a cookie, but it's kind of dense. I'm not exactly sure. Eating this, okay, the whole idea of just me eating this on camera is really stupid. Okay, so anyhow, so Pocky and Galbo are very, very common and both good, you know, flavor-wise. You're not usually disappointed. Another popular one, Crunky. It's basically like a Nestle bar, chocolate with little crispies in it, little rice kind of crispies. And the word is just very funny, Crunky. So there's also a lot of miniature version, like ball versions, you know, kind of malted milk ball versions of this that are just chocolate balls with crunchy little things in it. So Crunky is very common. Oh, and it's telling me to keep it at above 28 degrees so it doesn't melt. And I'm probably not doing that today because it's hot. And these are pretty common and not very good most of the time, but I couldn't resist because they have a black version now. So it's dark chocolate and a chocolate biscuit. So this is basically chocolate on one side, biscuit on another. And the standard version is a blue package. And it's kind of like an old lady snack, and you'll get it sometimes if somebody gives you coffee or something. But I'm very excited to try the black version of these. And there's no other detail, but I don't know if you can see on the camera. So a very dark chocolate biscuit and black dark chocolate on the other side. So I'm hoping that this redeems this brand, because the standard version of this, it should be your last choice as far as, because it's just a standard kind of mini British biscuit. And on the other side is chocolate, but it's kind of waxy, just sweet, not very chocolatey, cocoa, delicious chocolate. And the last one is also pretty infamous in Japan, but for a very funny reason. Let me see here, sorry. Oh, so Nestle, of course, brought the Kit Kat to Japan, and I'm not sure exactly when, but they had a marketing idea for this that made it insanely popular. So I think most people, this is a common, souvenir of Japan, because you're familiar with this. It's not some, crazy, it's like, what is this? What does it possibly taste like? There's some like Pocky that's a famous snack that somebody might bring you, but you know what this is. And Japan, for some reason, has deeply embraced, well, I know the reason. They've deeply embraced the Kit Kat, because the kind of katakana pronunciation of Kit Kat is, let me double check, Kitokatsu. And that basically means good luck. So it's like triumph for sure, or surely, surely you will win. Kind of idea. So kind of a good luck, or a good luck gift, or ganbatte kind of thinking. And they even on the back give you a little area to write who you're giving this to and from. So kind of popular for school kids and stuff. And I guess because it's very easy and clean to eat. But that's why there's so many flavors. That's why there's matcha and strawberry and pumpkin and beef. Or not beef stew, but cream stew. There's some horrible, strange versions of Kit Kat. But it's because it became this kind of good luck ganbatte gift, just because of the sound of it, because of how Japanese say kitokatsu. So it's very funny that just that interpretation. And I guess the original origin of this, I don't know. I guess it's a British origin. So Kit Kat actually comes from the Kit Kat Club, like the literary club that met in a pastry shop. And the chef's name, the pastry chef's name was like Christopher Catlin or something? Let me double check. Yes, Christopher Catling. And so his nickname was Kit Kat, and the group that met there became the Kit Kat Club. And that kind of, designation, I guess, had some classiness or something, because it was a literary group. So the Kit Kat of Kit Kat, and then so kind of lost in translation, it becomes you will surely win in Japanese. So it's very funny But that's why it's so popular here, and that's why you see this foreign brand push so hard and really so many flavors and everything made of Kit Kat, because of the kind of meaning that they put into it that doesn't really exist. But yeah, kind of clever marketing, and it works well because of course any school kid is going to love to get a chocolate biscuit snack. So of course. So there you are, a rundown of kind of the most common. Oh, and of course, anything I've opened, I'm going to finish as soon as I'm done streaming. Some of the most common, and then of course bulky, most common kind of chocolate snacks that you find in Japan. And they always, when you're opening something here, always look for the little nick or whatever. They always designate kind of where to open. So things are very easy to open here because there's kind of thought put into it. Like I showed you, when opening these sticks, they let you, they tell you they actually are just showing you, open it like this and you pop it up so that you're keeping all of that chocolate in a wrapper and it's not melting all over. There's a lot of thought that goes into packaging here and makes everything really convenient to eat. They just, it's really strange. Very thoughtful. You don't destroy anything trying to open it. So, chocolate snacks in Japan. So now you've seen two of the most probably, most common things that you've had related to Japan as far as snack food, Pocky and Kit Kat. And now you know a little bit why. Cute stick eating, and you will surely win. So, kitokatsu to you too. All right. So that's it for the chocolate excitement of this week's convenience store segment. Let's go back to the drawing, and I guess we're just doing the writing. So I hope that wasn't too horrifying to watch up close, but here we are back. Boom. Okay. So let's do some writing. I was just afraid I was going to kind of forget the tone of this idea. So I quickly typed in a little bit of what I wanted this to be before I showed you some chocolate and ate chocolate on camera, which I don't think that's going to be a thing that I should be doing. All right, so here we go. So the idea was the bookmark, it is, yeah, okay, so I think I need to say the bookmark. The bookmark was terrified. Terrified. Terrified to realize that any slip of paper could do his job. Bookworm was terrified to realize that any slip of paper was equally qualified. Was equally qualified. Okay, I think I'll put any up there. Okay, something like that. So the bookmark was terrified to realize that any slip of paper was equally qualified to do his job. Okay. Oh, I won't do this on camera. Sorry, no spell check on camera. The bookmark was terrified to when he realized, yeah. Making it longer and longer is never a good thing. Okay, well, maybe that's a little clearer. The bookworm was terrified when he realized that any slip of paper was equally qualified to do his job. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's where I wanted to go with that, and I hope visually he's standing out enough that you're realizing it's a laminated, ridiculous kitty bookmark. Let's try this. So this idea was that tofu relied too heavily on the shape of its container. So let's try this. Tofu was often criticized criticized for being too reliant. Ooh, I'm spelling that all wrong. On the shape of his, okay, Tofu was often criticized for being too reliant, T-O-O, but I don't think I'm going to use that. Yeah, so maybe Tofu questioning the his true shape. Yeah, maybe. Tofu often wondered what his true shape would be without a container. Yeah, so instead of kind of being critical, like the other things being critical of him or whatever, maybe this tone is a little bit funnier or better. Tofu often wondered what his true shape would be without a container. Huh. Yeah, I want it to be a little bit more about, kind of, the shape or the role that he's forced to have. Tofu often wondered what his true shape would be without a container. Okay. I don't know where this is going. Tofu often wondered what his true shape would be without a container. I don't think if he never had never had a container. Tofu often wondered what his true shape would be if he never had a container. I might be misunderstanding that's which is tofu. Yeah, because I wanted to do something that was visually similar but kind of blobbier. It's close enough. I think I'm overthinking it or worrying a little much. Tofu often wondered what his true shape. What his true shape. About his true shape. Tofu often wondered about his true shape. The shape of his container. Tofu often wondered if his true shape and the shape of his container were actually identical. I can't believe I'm losing it here. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll go back to the criticized one. Tofu was often criticized for his reliance on the shape of his container. Tofu was often criticized for his reliance on the shape of his container. Okay, I think that's as good as that's going to get. Oof, let's take that space out of there. Okay. So Tofu often Tofu was often criticized for his reliance on the shape of his container. Other food is not. Okay. Yeah, so that's just silly. Okay, tofu was often criticized for his reliance on the shape of his container. That's the first one for today. Very light colored one. And our other one for this week is the bookmark was terrified when he realized that any slip of paper was equally qualified to do his job. And the bookmark is so colorful. All right, so that's the cartoons for this week. And they're not even spell checked. I'll have to take a look. And thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you are now hungry for Japanese chocolate. Or there's snacks. I guess that's not. I shouldn't say chocolate, because there is very excellent chocolate in Japan, and like kind of imitations of European styles and things, and even the kind of bitter chocolates and namachako kind of things that Japan does that are very unique, and that's amazing. And that's not at a convenience store. So I should specify Japanese convenience store chocolate snacks is what I was talking about. But thanks for joining me, and again, we'll be back next week. If you'd like to read more of these cartoons, please go to abusecartoons.com. Follow me on Twitter at abusecartoons, and there's a Facebook page and everything. And the website, abusecartoons.com. And if you would go to patreon.com/abusecartoons, you can support and become a patron and support this cartoon. Original art, signed upside down books, collections of the first 1,000. So take a look at that, and please consider supporting the cartoon. And I will be back next week with something else from a convenience store and more sadly ridiculous cartoons. So thanks again for joining me. Goodbye.